It was the murky winter of 1944. Across the Adriatic, the American 5th and British 8th armies were grinding through the Apennines, stalled by the infamous German winter line. But the gaze of the German High Command was fixed eastward. Since the collapse of Axis forces in Africa in May 1943, Hitler had issued Directive No. 48. The command to defend southeastern Europe, the Balkans, at all costs. The Allies bogged down in Italy. Hitler feared they would leap across the Adriatic to strike what Churchill called the soft underbelly of Europe. To prevent this, he moved the 2nd Panzer Army headquarters from Russia to Yugoslavia, placing it under the command of General Lothar Rendulic. By February 1944, Rendulic issued 2 brutal orders. The first was the scorched-earth population policy, the forced expulsion of all military-capable males from the coastline into the interior of the so-called independent state of Croatia. By mid-March, these expulsions took place, targeting males aged 12 to 70. Many were swept into the maw of the Third Reich. A man I knew, who passed away a few years ago, was sent to Germany as a teenage boy. Rendulic's second order was to transform the coast into a fortress. This is the story of the fortifications around Dubrovnik. The Pelješac Peninsula became a pivotal strategic anchor held by strong German garrisons. Behind it lay the Neretva river mouth, the gateway to the Dinaric Alps, and the road to Sarajevo. From the medieval walls of stone to the Canal region, the Wehrmacht deployed over 60 heavy guns. To man this wall, the Germans deployed 369th Infantry Division, a legionnaire unit tasked with defending the swath of land from the Neretva to the borders of Montenegro. Their arsenal was a mosaic of the war, from the First World War era 75mm mountain guns to captured Soviet Z-3 76mm cannons from the Eastern Front, which formed 2 distinct coastal batteries. To the west, 118th Pursuit Division held the islands and the rugged heights of western Pelješac. They were the most harassed unit in the sector, constantly targeted by British and American commandos together with Dalmatian partisans operating from the island fortress of Vis. Utilizing the experience gained from building the Atlantic Wall, which stretched 3,800 kilometers with 15,000 bunkers, organization Totd began fortifying the Dalmatian coast. Using blueprints for standardized rigid bow bunkers and the threat of slave labor of Italian POWs, they turned the limestone cliffs into a labyrinth of concrete. The most common fortifications you'll find in the Dubrovnik area are the ring stand, better known as Tobruk bunkers. Originally an Italian concept from the North African campaign, they were named after the Libyan port where they were first used effectively. In the official German rigid bow system, this standardized design is known as the bow form 58C. So there was a metal ring on the top of the bunker, which was actually a stand for a machine gun. the crew was made of 2 soldiers. The entrance of the bunker was camouflaged with the net. To build one R58C you needed 25 days and 11 cubes of concrete. In one of these I found this, a hand-etched inscription with the year, left by a soldier 8+ years ago. So you can see the year 1944. And here is the date. At least I think so. There's some kind of initials or inscriptions here, like A, K. Here's where I found different drawings, like this one. And there are more inscriptions here. This is FKS. Unbelievable. There is another one, this one. I also found reinforced concrete artillery observation posts. Look for this narrow aperture. It was designed for a stereoscopic rangefinder. When you find one of these, it's a sign to look behind you. Usually about a few kilometers into the hinterland, you'll find the hidden firing positions of an artillery battery. Likely 105mm light field howitzer, like in this case. The Germans were masters of camouflage and improvisation. They didn't just pour concrete, they used the earth. They deepened natural limestone caves with dynamite, transforming them into personal shelters or ammunition magazines. In some sectors, they carved out entire tunnel complexes deep into the hills, like in this case. In some cases, the terrain was so steep that caving equipment is the only way to reach these storage points. The Wehrmacht exploited the Dalmatian karst to its absolute maximum. It is, in a dark way, a form of engineering art. Okay, so far this is the longest tunnel I've been during the last few months, maybe years. It was built by 668 Regiment, Artillery Regiment of 118 Pursuit Division of Wehrmacht. It was built somewhere between February and August of 1944. The reason for building this kind of object was the protection from Allied Air Force, which was very often in disguise over their garrisons held in southern Dalmatia. But these works of art were deadly. These bunkers were once surrounded by wire and minefields. They used the infamous S-mine, also known as Bouncy Betty, but also Betonenmine, or the concrete mine. So many of these sites are still out there, waiting to be rediscovered. Sometimes, pushing through deep undergrowth, you stumble upon a bedroom, a rusty frame, and a helmet, sitting exactly where they were left 80 years ago. Tragically, many of these bunkers are being destroyed or neglected. Their historical value as a silent witness to the 20th century isn't recognized. To me, ignoring these relics is a total absurdity. They are part of the story of this land. While the German High Command was convinced an invasion here was imminent, the cold reality of logistics dictated a different story. When you consider that a single combat division requires between 450 and 700 tons of supplies every day, the soft underbelly of Balkans begins to look like a fortress of stone. With Italian supply hubs over 200 kilometers away and the impossible jagged karst of the Dinaric Alps blocking every path inland, a large-scale Allied landing was a logistical impossibility. These bunkers remain today as the silent monuments to a period of intense anticipation, concrete witnesses to an Allied invasion that never came. They are ghosts of what-if history, carved into the Croatian rock. If you want to see more hidden history and the forgotten relics of the Balkan front, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Your support helps me keep tracking into the brush to find these pieces of our past. Thanks for watching War Relics Croatia. I'll see you at the next bunker.